You can't, like, your head.
So, hi! In this video, I'm actually gonna do some cooking, and this time I have a magical tripod, so you don't have to see me, like, juggle between coffee and filming. So, what are we making tonight? Tonight we are making butternut squash soup with apples and bacon. So, what does it look like in the end? Like this. So, how do we get this started? First, you need a butternut squash. I actually got 2 of these because these guys are actually kind of small, but they're not in season right now, so I can't really complain. I also need apples. So I like a Granny Smith apple, but I got this out of the fridge and it feels kind of soft, so I don't really trust it. That's okay. I also have a Royal Gala apple, which is not as tart, but really sweet, so maybe I'll have a sweeter soup at the end of this. I don't know. Either way, you need 1 apple. You also need bacon. You need 8 slices of bacon. And it just so happens I've already finished cooking it. So it looks like that. Oh, what am I doing now? Oh, okay. So the first thing we need to do is we need to cook the bacon. Done. Second thing we need to do, we need to cut up this squash. A lot of people get scared of squash because they're really big and they're hard to carve up. They're not. Here's what you do. You take your squash and you take your chef's knife. Make sure it's sharp. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off one end. Second thing, this is going to get cut right about here. This is the neck of a squash, so basically I'm going to cut it through the neck. That's why you need a sharp knife. This part, we're good, we're done. This part, I need to cut off the butt. Don't need these. That's gone. Now, to get the skin off this side, you take your knife again and you just cut off the skin, like that. And then what you do is you fast forward yourself doing it. So, what happens with the weird kind of edge that you get from the neck? You take a potato peeler and you finish it off. Like that. So now you have all these peels laying around and you just throw them on the floor. Got all over the floor. So, you have a peeled squash, 2 pieces of it. This guy now has a whole bunch of gross guts inside of it, kind of like pumpkin does. So you grab your gut removing tool. It's a spoon. And you just kind of gut it. It's really gross. So if you hate it, get someone else to do it for you. I think I got you to do it once and you hated it.
I don't like carving pumpkins. It's all cold and icky.
Don't worry, this one's room temperature. Like a body. Okay, so now this is gutted, and now your hand is gross. So you grab a paper towel, you wipe that down, because if you don't, you will surely slip with that knife and cut off a finger. So, I need to cut this into chunks. I have already carved up one of my squash, and each chunk is about that big. So that's roughly the size of a chunk. So, I don't know, you just cut it. Make sure the pieces are roughly the same size, like that. By the way, before you start cutting up your squash, what you should be doing is cooking your bacon. I've actually already cooked my bacon, and what I've done is I saved the grease. I always save my bacon grease. But it's actually sitting in this pan. I turned off my stove so I wouldn't cause a fire, but I'm just going to turn it back on so the grease gets heated. I'm going to finish carving up this guy. So for the neck part, you just kind of cut it into slices. Ow. Okay, so now you have your squash fully cut up. You now need to peel this apple. I don't know if I want to eat this apple, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off a piece and try it. And if it tastes good, I'll use it. And if it doesn't, What is with this sticker? Making a mess. I think it tastes okay.
It's fine.
I think it tastes fine. Fun fact, you will run out of space in your kitchen. That happens. Okay, grease is set up. Heated. So what I'm gonna do, these chunks of squash need to brown. I don't know the French word for brown. So I'm just gonna throw them in. What's gonna help you out is spatula. But you don't wanna move it while it's in the grease. And the reason is, like once you get a grease coating on everything, you have to let it sit so it will brown. If you don't, it doesn't really brown, and your soup just tastes less awesome. So that's basically it. That has to brown. That's gonna take probably, for how much squash is in there, probably 10 to 15 minutes. I'm gonna stir probably once every 5 minutes or so, just to make sure everything gets a chance to kind of sit in the really hot grease and just get really hot and brown. But really, I just have to wait. So let's wait. And then we wait. And then we're done. So it's been 15 minutes and my squash is done, and you can see it from there. You can see like it's nice and brown. And actually it smells really good. It smells like butter and nuts. So next thing we do, because they're all brown and everything, I'm gonna take these apples. They're gonna get tossed in. Now when I do my soup, I like to add a little bit of cider vinegar. This is apple cider vinegar. It gives it a nice kind of, not sweet, I don't know. Whatever the taste vinegar is, it gives it that with apples. Use exactly that much, otherwise you ruin your soup. Okay, so that needs about 2 to 3 minutes just kind of sitting in there. What I need to do is, this is a Tupperware full of chicken stock. I make this from scratch because I'm awesome. It's actually not very hard. Check out this link for my video on how to make chicken stock. There's probably not a link right there right now, but. So, this is actually frozen. It was sitting in my freezer for a while. I'm actually gonna microwave it so it comes to heat. When that finishes up, it's going to go into my pot. While that's kind of going, what I need to do is I need to take half of the bacon that I made just a while ago, and I need to cut it into kind of like crumble. This half is actually going to go in my soup and get blended. So the smaller I make the pieces right now, the easier it's going to be to blend. I just don't want to be sitting there for like half an hour trying to blend it all so it's smooth. And this particular soup, I don't like to be chunky. Oh no, some of it fell on the counter and you can't use it in the soup. Anyways, this is my chicken stock made from chicken bones. More on that later. In this Tupperware, there's exactly 3.5 cups of liquid, which is not enough. I like to have 4 cups of fluid, so 1 liter in my soup. But I'm gonna try it. Actually, that's enough. That's exactly as much as I want. So what I need to do right now is I'm gonna crank the heat a little bit because this stock has to come to a boil for at least 2 minutes. Not because I make my stock in a bad way, it's just every once in a while you get something funky kind of in your stock, so you want to make sure it comes to a boil so you don't kill yourself. Also, use your spatula to scrape up all the brown bits at the bottom because your bacon and making a mess. Because your bacon and squash left a lot of delicious brown fond. That's the French word for brown stuff. But not the French word for actually browning. They have another one. You know what I forgot? I forgot salt and pepper. So you need to decide how salty you like your soup. And my rule of thumb is put in as much salt as you think you need, then just a little bit more. I don't know, that's just how I do salt. So I don't know, it's like a tablespoon of salt, probably less, 2 teaspoons. I don't know. What is the conversion between a teaspoon and a tablespoon? So at this point in time, your stock is just kind of going away, getting to a boil. I guess chefs call it marrying the flavors. I don't know. But this is a great time to put in flavor accents. So if you have cinnamon, put cinnamon in if you like cinnamon in your soup. I don't. But these are frozen bay leaves. And no matter what your soup is, always put a bay leaf in. It's always good. It's always a good idea. I put in 2, so it's a great idea. Did you like that? Almost ready. So, my pot came to a boil, and it boiled for about 2 minutes. I turned the heat down, and it's going to simmer for a little bit. While it's simmering, I'm going to take half of this bacon, and I'm going to just do this. And that's because I want the bacon to kind of have a chance to, relax. Just be in there. Be in the moment. So at this point in time, the squash is mostly cooked, but it needs a bit more time. And I kind of underestimated how much time it would take to cook that much squash. There's actually more squash than I usually use. So, I'm going to take this lid, I'm going to throw this right over top, until it heats down just a little bit. So that pressure, that heat just kind of sits there. I'm just going to cook it. I'm going to wait 6 minutes. I don't know. 6 minutes sounds like good to me. At the end of 6 minutes, I'm going to use a fork, make sure the squash is cooked all the way through, and once it's cooked all the way through, we get to blend it. So I will see you in 6 minutes. So I just took the lid off my pot. I have a fork. I'm just going to quickly poke my squash. It is nice and tender. We are done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly grab out these bay leaves because you can't have that in your soup. They taste awful. Okay, so now we need to blend it. To blend it, I'm going to assemble my hand blender. Ta-da! This is a Cuisinart one that we got really, really cheap, which was awesome. Blending can be super dangerous if you're not careful because this is boiling water basically, and if you're not careful, it's going to splash up and scald you and burn you, and the soup will taste great, but it'll hurt. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to really carefully start this up. And I'm just going to really slowly blend it. And when I say slowly, I mean it fast forward. Okay, so all the chunks are now smoothed out and I have a really nice, smooth soup. What I need to do right now is I need to taste it. Just to see if I need more salt or pepper or... I guess it's really all it really needs. You know what? That's actually really good as it is. So, this is done. The last thing we're going to do. You probably noticed I just had bacon sitting around, not being eaten. This bacon, I'm going to chop up fairly coarsely, just like that, because to serve this, a little bit right into the bowl, actually it's a lot, take a little bit of bacon, put that over top like that. Oh. And it's the picture from the beginning of the video, so you know this is good. But yeah, that's it. Some people like to have a piece of bread with it, like paleo bread, but I don't really care for it. This, for me, is good enough. And it is super filling. Like, you can have one bowl of this and you're basically done. But that's it. This is our butternut squash soup. Nutritional information over here. Yeah, chock full of that. But that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I will catch you next time. Bye.